Good morning and welcome to Morning Movie News, where I'm excited to tell you I have both a special and a unique episode in store for you. Does that include Hugh Jackman's tease over the weekend on Instagram that his days as Wolverine are numbered? No, it does not, because that's such big news, it's getting its own episode over on the main Beyond the Trailer channel later today, so stay tuned for that. But don't click away from this episode either, because again, as I promised you, it's both special and unique. Not only is there some interesting movie news to discuss, but we have a giveaway from our friends at Dolby Atmos, and then a viewer question, which is actually more of a viewer request, and it's so special again and unique that it blew me away when it came to my attention over email this weekend. And I'm so excited to share it with you, so please don't skip the second story today. I know sometimes you guys skip around via the chapter times noted in the video description, which is totally cool, that's why they're there, but I want to make it clear, please, please, please listen to the second story of the day. But we're going to start with that giveaway, once again from our friends at Dolby Atmos. So as I'm sure you've heard, because they've done such a great job getting the word out, Gravity is being re-released as a special edition Blu-ray. What's so special about it? Well, they have a version of the film on this Blu-ray and the original version, but they have a special version of the film called Gravity Silent Space. And Alfonso Cuarón came up with this idea of remixing the sound for the film so that it sounds like you're actually in space with Sandra Bullock, what it would actually be like. And they've removed all the music from the movie because she wasn't wearing an iPod. And they've done this with Dolby Atmos. Alfonso Cuarón has teamed up with the folks at Dolby Atmos. And if you'd like to know more about the process of creating Gravity Silent Space, there's a link in the video description to not just an article, but at the end of that article there's about a 10-minute video where Cuarón and the Dolby Atmos team talk about specifically what they did. So Dolby Atmos is so proud of how this Gravity Silent Space edition turned out that they've given me 3 copies to give away to you. So we're going to do the usual one-sentence review challenge here, but with a little bit of a twist. So here are the rules, and then I'll give you the twist. The rules are that you have until the end of this week, Friday, April 3rd, the end of the day, to tweet me your one-sentence review of the film. So you have to do @Grace Randolph, and you also have to include the hashtag Dolby Atmos to be eligible to be chosen to win. And I'll pick the 3 best one-sentence reviews, share them here on Morning Movie News next Monday, and those 3 will be the winners of this special edition of the Gravity Blu-ray. Now the twist is, I don't want you to just review the film, but I want you to give a one-sentence review as to why you'd be interested in the Gravity Silent Space edition. You don't have to include Gravity Silent Space per se in your tweet, because I know you have limited characters, especially because you have to have @Grace Randolph and hashtag Dolby Atmos in there. But just, focus on the sound and this new way to watch the film. All right, so you have all week to tweet me, so you can think about it if you'd like, and I look forward to seeing your tweets throughout the week. All right, so that's the first story of the day, and now on to this viewer request. So, I check my email, and you guys email me sometimes, and I get an email from a frequent BTT viewer, Ryan Rains. Ryan is a frequent commenter. I'm sure you've seen his avatar down below in many of the videos. He also participates in all the BTT voice episodes. He emails me, he tweets me. He's a very involved member of the BTT community, which always is appreciated. So Ryan sends me an email, and it says, please read, coolest experience ever. And I'm like, oh yeah, let's see, what's the coolest experience ever? So he got my attention though, I clicked on it, and when I opened it, I began to read, and as I said, I was blown away. So Ryan said he was going, he took a trip, I believe he called it a mission trip, but he went away for a few days to visit New Orleans, and while he was there, he and the group that he was with went to visit, I believe, a nursing home. So it's right outside New Orleans, and he was talking to one of the individuals there, a man named Chris Keller, who's 61, and unfortunately really can't leave the facility. He really can't even leave his room because, as Ryan told me, he's had a quadruple bypass surgery, a stroke, and a half amputated left leg. But Chris is still in there, he's still fighting the good fight, but unfortunately, not only does he rarely leave his room, but he hasn't left the home for about 4 years now. So this is why Ryan wrote me about this. He said, as I started to talk to Chris, lo and behold, I discovered that we're both BTT viewers and that Chris never misses an episode. So I was just so blown away again by that two BTT viewers would come together from two such different areas in life, different periods in their life, and be brought together over the common ground of Beyond the Trailer and the love of the things that we discuss here on Beyond the Trailer. They also talked about Think About the Ink. Ryan and Chris, they traded comics, which I thought was fantastic. Chris, I'm sending you some comics. And I just thought that was such a wonderful thing, and it made me so happy and humbled and proud. And so I wanted to bring this to your attention because I would love you guys, since Chris never misses an episode, to write messages to Chris yourself down below in the comments. Tell him what's going on right now in the world of comics. What movies you recommend that he might catch up on since he can't get out to the movies. What should he ask perhaps for the facility he's in to maybe get for him for movie night? What comics do you recommend? I'm going to be ordering him some comics to send, so if I see any good suggestions, I'll include that in my bundle. But I thought that was so wonderful of Ryan to not only take the time to visit a home like this and to take the time to, not just talk to Chris, but treat Chris like a human being and his peer, but also to bring this to my attention. It was just so wonderful, and I'm so happy to be able to say hi to Chris, and I just think it's fantastic. So Chris, we love you. I hope, please let me know down below if you do comment on these episodes, what's your avatar so I can make sure that I'm aware of what it is. And I hope you'll read everyone's well wishes to you down below. So I hope today's another great day for you. And I'm excited to discuss some movie news with you. So in honor of Chris, let's continue. So the first big story we're going to discuss is that twins spot that was released on Friday about Wanda and Pietro Maximoff. Now there wasn't enough new footage in it for me to do a shot-by-shot review, but I still wanted to discuss it with you today. Now I've put a link in the video description to that as well if you haven't seen it. But I think the thing that struck me the most actually was how much Joss Whedon sounds like Robert Downey Jr. Not just in the pitch of his voice, but also the way they speak, the cadence of it. So I thought that was really hilarious. I was like, wow, I would love to hear you guys talk together. It must be hilarious. But he did give some interesting information about our twins. So they revealed that they are the Maximoff twins, obviously, but they're going with twins, and that they've been orphans since the age of 10 when a shell destroyed their apartment building. And being Eastern European, and there being a lot of strife in that region, I think that does have a rip from the headlines, quality to it, as well as being pretty faithful to the origin of the Maximoff twins in the comics. So, and I also think that it makes it clear why they would volunteer to be exposed to, I guess, the Terrigen mists. Because they're trying to make them Inhumans, I believe. We'll see. But I think that whatever is in that staff that Loki had from the first Avengers film, maybe that's a Terrigen crystal. Is it an Infinity Gem? We're all over the place with this. But anyway, you can see why they would volunteer to potentially get superpowers and exact their revenge on the world. So the twins, I like that, and also Whedon said that they were incredibly important characters. I'd be like, hey, really, tell that to the ad campaign department because they are not featured very much in the ad campaign for this film. But perhaps that's because they're the ace up Whedon's sleeve. So I like that he described them as kind of a yin and yang to each other, that Pietro Maximoff as Quicksilver is obviously very fast, but he also said that Wanda as the Scarlet Witch is very slow and grounded. So that is an interesting, tug between the two of them, fast and slow, and that's why they work so well together. So I thought that was great. Then, of course, they talked a little bit about Pietro being short-tempered, etc. I think we all saw that coming. But I liked also what he said about Wanda. And he said that Wanda, first of all, has telekinesis. She's telekinetic. That's the ability to move objects with your mind. And she also is telepathic. And that's the ability to get into someone's head. Which, of course, as many people pointed out, that's Jean Grey's MO. So this is kind of like an evil Jean Grey, or, Dark Phoenix to some regard. But Dark Phoenix, of course, is too busy exploding and eating things with her fiery powers to really get to her telekinesis and telepathy. So I think it's interesting that, this is like mutant hardcore stuff, or Inhumans as maybe they're trying to go now with the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the comics, because they're trying to spin off the X-Men because they don't have the movie rights to it. Although, we'll see what happens if they don't have Hugh Jackman over at Fox. Maybe they won't be making too many X-Men movies for too long. But anyway, I think that's interesting to kind of redefine Wanda and take out the whole Hex factor, because the Hex factor is very confusing. So I think this is certainly a lot easier to understand, right? She can mess with your mind, and she can move stuff with her mind. I also think this is great from a writer's perspective because it gives Whedon the ability to kind of like have a shortcut to discussing people's backstories through their greatest fears. We've seen a lot of teases about the Black Widow operation out of Russia in the trailers, and instead of it being a flashback, or for some reason Black Widow decides to open up to someone, which we all know she likely wouldn't do, but if we have a situation where she's seeing this stuff because of Scarlet Witch, which we have seen, I believe in the third trailer it was, that we saw Wanda specifically messing with Black Widow, then that's a perfect reason for us to get a little bit of backstory on Black Widow without having to portray the character and having her uncharacteristically bare her soul to another character. Although she did, my money would be on Bruce Banner since their relationship seems to be deepening. So very, very interesting there. But also something else that was cool that was said in this spot was that Elizabeth Olsen said that Scarlet Witch does not understand just quite how powerful that she is. So that got me thinking that maybe Scarlet Witch will do something at the end of the movie, which will be the inciting point for civil war and the government wanting to regulate superhero activity. In Civil War, it's a different inciting factor, but I can totally see, to make this more organic, something happens with Scarlet Witch. She maybe does something and goes too far because she doesn't realize how powerful she is. So that would be a very interesting way to go with it. And it would kind of also tie in the danger that everybody thinks Scarlet Witch is to everybody that came out of the No More Mutants House of M scenario. But you can't do that because you don't have the X-Men, etc. She can't say no more mutants. So you could perhaps have her say something here or do something here, which then kind of mixes House of M and Civil War into one giant story. So I could totally see that happening, and that makes a lot of sense. The other thing I wanted to touch on in this spot, though, is at the very end, Chris Evans says, yes, they're not sure who's on the squad and who isn't. Now, at the very, in certain shots of the trailers, we've seen Wanda fighting with the Avengers, and some people are guessing that maybe Quicksilver will be the one to not make it out of the movie alive. But maybe, just maybe, in addition to gaining new members like Scarlet Witch, will anyone defect from the group? That could be interesting as well. So I think there are a lot of good teases in there. The movie can't come soon enough. It's coming pretty soon. And I think they're giving us some wonderful teases, and I'm very excited to see how all these pieces fit together. It's interesting when you're dealing with continuity. I think Whedon is very aware of continuity, as is Marvel Studios in general, and I think that's really benefited them because, it gives a lot of speculation as to how they're going to make everything work while still being as true to the comics as they can be. And I think that, again, this House of M Civil War combo thing could be a real thing. All right, so that's the one of the two stories we're discussing today. Now, the other story I want to discuss is Transformers. And the big news that Transformers, Paramount specifically, wants to make Transformers have its own cinematic universe. Like everybody! Everybody wants a cinematic universe. So they've put together a brain trust, or what they're calling a writer's room, to come up with sequels and spin-offs, etc. for the Transformers franchise. They want to do what Marvel's doing. They want to do what Star Wars is doing. They also want to do what Avatar is doing. And that's that Avatar, James Cameron sat down with the creative people that he cherry-picked out of Hollywood. He got some great people on board there. And he said, they worked at Avatar 2 through 4. Now, I think we're all still waiting to see if it took them too long. I don't really know if there's an audience for Avatar. It's been so long since the first movie. That could either hurt them, and then it's been so long that people have lost interest. They have a theme park coming in Disney's Animal Kingdom and down in Orlando as well. Or it could actually help them that maybe absence makes the heart, not only grow fonder, but forget, and we could forget how bad that movie really was. Although many people did like Avatar, you don't make that much money at the box office for nothing. It's still to this day the most successful movie of all time. So Paramount's like, we want that. We want to do that with Transformers. So who's on this brain trust? Steven Spielberg, Michael Bay, producer Lorenzo Di Bonaventura, and then also Akiva Goldsman for some ridiculous reason. I don't know why anybody hires Akiva Goldsman for anything. I understand that he won an Academy Award for writing A Beautiful Mind, but he also destroyed the Batman franchise when he was working with Joel Schumacher, and then recently he's still shown a real lack of talent. For instance, Winter's Tale with Colin Farrell, which came out last year, the movie's unwatchable. It's just so horrifically bad. So I don't understand why anybody would be like, that guy. I want him to not only write my movie, but to draw a plan that puts all these movies and connects them together. That's the guy I want. I'd be like, oh my God, maybe we should invite him to keep him away. And we'll just give him like a dummy decoy project to work on. But then, why pay him? I don't know. Hollywood can sometimes be a very strange town where people are able to continuously get work despite horrendous track records. And Akiva Goldsman is one of those people. He must be great in a room. When he's pitching, he must just make everybody forget everything he's ever done in the past. It's amazing. So anyway, I do want to ask you if you think that the Transformers movies would benefit from some kind of plan, because they have not been story-based up to date. But that really hasn't hurt them, and they're still doing very well at the box office. The last Transformers also made $1 billion. The last two Transformers have made $1 billion apiece. Now, the numbers were a little depressed for Transformers Age of Extinction. They did a little better overseas, but they did about 100 million less domestically, and maybe Paramount feels it's a bit of a wake-up call. It's not like an emergency, but perhaps they don't want to let things get too bad to a point where maybe they can't salvage the franchise. So they're trying to rework it, and they want to have these sequels and spin-offs. I think the only way you're going to significantly rework this film, there's two ways to go with it. One, you get somebody else besides Michael Bay to direct. I love Bay. I love what he's done with the franchise. I've really enjoyed the films overall. I think they serve their purpose. They're great summer blockbuster popcorn fun. But I think if you want to be more story-based, you have to get directors who are more story-based themselves. So I think with all due respect to Michael Bay, he could stay on board as a producer, but I think you need somebody else at the helm if you want to duplicate story-oriented franchises like Marvel and Star Wars. And even DC, the way DC hopefully is shaping up. We'll see. So that's, I think, one way to go with it. The other way is just keep going even further in the Michael Bay direction. What I would recommend is they do that G.I. Joe Transformers crossover. Mark Wahlberg, Michael Bay, and Dwayne Johnson already worked together in Pain and Gain. I liked Pain and Gain. I know a lot of people didn't like it. I thought it was a really good movie. That was a story-oriented film. But, you've already had these people have a relationship. They already know and like each other. Why not work together again and make an amazing, crossover film? I would love to see Mark Wahlberg and Dwayne Johnson, work alongside Optimus Prime to take down the evil, it's the Autobots and I can't believe I don't remember off the top of my head who they're fighting. See? That's how bad the story is. You just are like, I know I have a good time, there's lots of electronic stuff, and they make some jokes and there are some explosions. It's the same every time. It's fine. I like it. But I think that's what I would recommend. But those are the two paths I think that lay before them. To go, full cheese, just turn the knob to 11, or to just totally regroup and try and be more story-oriented in what they do. But I'm really curious what you want to see come out of the Transformers franchise. Do you think it can be salvaged? We keep going and seeing them, and we talk about Transformers like it's not a success, but the last one, again, $1 billion. And, one of the most successful movies both domestically and worldwide. I mean, its numbers might have been depressed, but so were everybody's numbers. It's up in the top 10. It was a high performer. So I'm very curious to your thoughts on that. Please write them down below. Write down below what you think of both of today's two top stories. Write your messages to Chris, and then don't forget to tweet me your one-sentence reviews for Gravity, Silent Space. All right, thank you so much for watching. Bye.